With yet another iteration of Assassin's Creed on the horizon, RPG stealth games have proven successful. Cyanide Studios' latest offering, Styx, Master of Shadows, puts an interesting fantasy twist on the genre. The game is set in the Tower of Akanash, a stronghold defending the World Tree, the source of much coveted amber. This tower is guarded by elves and humans alike. You play as Styx, the first ever goblin who thrives upon amber, using it to perform a variety of abilities, which make your role as tree burglar just that little bit easier. From a character design perspective, our titular character Styx is well fleshed out. Small and sly, he plays like a goblin as you venture through the missions. His voice acting fits the role of the character, and the dialogue gives you a feel of his identity, such that he seems full of himself, but with a good sense of humour.
On that point, you were right. It is here that you will die.
Did I say that?
Beyond Styx, however, the various other characters are somewhat simpler. For example, you have your stereotypical guards who patrol each level dutifully and spout a variety of different voice clips depending on the scenario. Considering these characters are more necessary to the gameplay than the plot, it is understandable. I particularly like the direction Cyanide Studios took their elves, who shy away from the stereotype of fair folk to appear more ominous. Graphically, the game is nothing special. It is in no way bad to the point where it detracts from the game, but nor is it the sort of game that makes you want to lick your screen as you experience a neurological optical overload. It runs comfortably with 60 FPS VSync at 1080p on my PC, however I can't comment on console versions. There are the occasional clipping issues, and the ragdoll physics used in corpses and chairs is questionable. But it isn't a problem to the point of marring the gameplay experience. Speaking of gameplay, there is an immersive stealth theme that perpetuates throughout. Styx is not a fighter, and that becomes apparent when detected by more than one or two enemies. Instead of duking it out, you must sneak through the levels, taking out the bad guys when you can, but ultimately avoiding detection and completing objectives. To do this, you are equipped with an arsenal of items and abilities. Styx himself can utilize amber to create a clone in order to distract NPCs or flip switches. He can activate amber vision to highlight useful interactable objects and enemies. He can even turn invisible for brief periods of time at a high amber cost in order to move around unseen. Despite this neat kit, however, your amber supplies are severely limited, and, for the most part, I found I had to use other means to get around. Throwing knives proved useful for taking out enemies from afar, and acid could be used to neatly dispose of bodies and remain undetected.
One gone.
These again are limited in the number you can carry, and I found myself saving them for opportune moments as opposed to flinging knives around willy-nilly. Instead, more often than not, I would avoid killing guards, and if I had to, I'd make sure that I had a nifty spot to stash the body, or even throw it off the edge of the level. These design choices make the game tactically challenging. In each level, you are vastly outnumbered, and must make quick and clever choices in order to progress. One wrong move, and you'd be caught, and detection easily leads to death. Thus, when you do pull off that series of sneaky maneuvers you initially found so challenging, the satisfaction is tangible. And this is just the initial layer. Skill points are earned throughout missions, allowing you to level up Styx and gain new abilities. Whether they be improving your use of amber, earning more ways to kill the baddies, or upgrading your inventory to more effectively use items. This allows the players to adapt Styx to suit their playstyle, whether you like to slink through the shadows or pick off guards one at a time. The gameplay is diverse enough to keep the player involved throughout the missions, and the mission progression provides interesting differences such that the gameplay does not get stale. One mission may require you to avoid detection throughout. Others have knights who can kill Styx in one hit and must be avoided at all costs. Some sections have puzzles which require you to consider your environment in order to progress. And yet others contain beastly beetles which react only to sound, and so you can get pretty close, provided you're stealthy. All these different aspects keep the player engaged. I never found myself finding the game repetitive, despite the basic underlying objectives requiring me to get from point A to point B. On top of all of this, for the completionists among us, there are collectible coins and relics in each mission, as well as secondary objectives which earn you extra skill points, and thus more abilities. The game is well fleshed out. There are hours of gameplay with such a plethora of different routes, tactics, and secrets that no two players will play the game the same way. I found myself favouring stealth in some scenarios and ruthless murder in others. The game has enough unique features that it doesn't really feel like anything else I've ever played. But I can say that the gameplay is Styx, Master of Shadow's truest strong point. The storyline, however, feels a bit lacking. My purpose in the tower is explained mission to mission, whether it be to steal maps, or a key, or find the hideout, but the overarching storyline doesn't grip me. Whilst I enjoy sneaking about and stealing things, I don't really care why. I don't care who Styx is, or why the elves and humans have allied to defend the Amber. Overall, the story is just a bit eh. This may be due to the cutscenes, however. Truly janky lip-syncing distracted me from the plot, and it is unsurprising that at points it swaps from animated scenes to artistic stills which pan and zoom.
Besides, one shouldn't go too far.
On top of that, there are little annoyances. Loading a previous save is awkward, as it defaults to loading the last autosave. The game autosaves very rarely, so more often than not, this was not the save I wanted to load. There doesn't appear to be an easy way to hang off a ledge other than falling off and attempting to grab back on. This often led to me falling to my death or into a group of guards waiting to chop me into little goblin pieces. On top of that, the detection can be questionable. Nobody seems to wonder why torches randomly go out, and when I'm perched on the wall right next to a guard, he seems quite content staring off into space. These may be addressed on higher difficulty settings, however, where you are more easily detected, but considering I struggled on normal, I can only conclude that I am personally about as stealthy as a loud fart in a crowded elevator. Overall, I have to give the game a 6 out of 8. As someone with a dwindling patience for stealth, I found the gameplay engaging and varied and ultimately good fun. This was enough to overshadow the simplistic storyline and minor issues which detracted from the overall experience. Styx has snuck onto my radar and gained the Kilobit seal of approval. If you'd like to see more reviews from the Kilobits, you can always click that subscribe button. For social media notifications, we have a Facebook at facebook.com/thekilobits and a Twitter, which is @thekilobits. Chuck us a sneaky follow and see if we notice.
Here I should be able to get back to the hideout.